Fixing stuff. A short story. Sure, Gramps, I'll get it. Tony walked across his grandfather's basement wood shop to get another sanding block. Great-grand's old table's looking better every week. Better part of a year ought to make a bit of difference. I never thought it would take so long when you first asked me to come over and help restore it. Well, I wanted to do it right, Grandpa said. This table was always part of our family, even before I was born, and that was 70 years ago. Most things are made to be bought, used, and thrown away. Some things are special, worth taking care of. Those things can outlast us. The thick lacquer finish had grown dark over the years. The patina was uneven from 30 years of sitting upstairs in the living room, the sunlight beating down on it in the same places day after day. That had taken weeks to get sanded down, and it still hadn't been all removed. The intricate carvings and turns took a long time to sand out by hand. Tony remembered that first week he came over. It was the week after the bad week. He thought if fixing a table couldn't take more than an hour or two. Now, after 8 months, at 2 hours a week, the old finish was nearly all gone. Tony wondered if this table that he helped in his 20th year of life would still be around in 100 years. It made him feel funny to think that something he worked on might still be around for years after he was gone. Hey, Gramps, how many times do you think a table like this could be sanded down and refinished? I suppose quite a few if you did it right each time. We're only taking off a tiny bit of wood. I bet you could do 15 or 20 more times before the table became too worn down. That means this table could last more than 1,000 years. Tony paused at the thought of a 1,000-year-old table holding up magazines sometime after the year 3000. Well, that is a definite possibility, Grandpa said. After the rapture, there'll be 7 years of judgment. Then Jesus will reign on earth over 1,000 years. So, yes, if we can get back to it when we return with Jesus, then this old table could easily last until the end of time. If Jesus comes back today, that is. Jesus could tarry for quite some time, though. So it is important we get this right. Grandpa smiled. For a good long time, there was only the sound of sandpaper working rhythmically against the table. Tony brushed his jaw-length brown hair behind his ear, a nervous tic he'd picked up recently. His dad enjoyed telling him that he could save 5 minutes a day if he would just get a haircut. But the hair was staying. It was a change Tony liked. So did you think about the question I asked you last week? Grandpa asked. About where you're going in life? A little, I guess, Tony shrugged. Doesn't seem that important to me right now. What, your future? Grandpa asked. Look, I know what this is about. But it wasn't that long ago that I tried to cancel my subscription on Life, so maybe my future isn't the most important thing for me to stress about right now. Tony brushed back his hair behind his ear and kept sanding. Please don't say it like that, Grandpa said quietly. Like what? Canceled your subscription on Life? It isn't funny. That day changed more than you will ever know. I know it isn't fun to talk about, but that doesn't make it easier. Every time I think about it, I nearly get sick to my stomach again. That was the most scared I've ever been. I want you to feel like you can tell me anything, but please, don't talk to me like the worst day that I can remember is just no big deal. A 3-second pause followed that felt like an hour. Okay, Grandpa, I'm sorry. I forgive you. I don't see why the future's so important. What difference does it make? Tony, it maybe doesn't seem that important, but you don't seem at all that happy where you're at. And I've never seen anyone get out of a bad spot by sitting still. You have people all around you who want to help you get where you want to go, but you have to provide the place and the desire. Yeah, those are hard things to come by, Tony said, very honestly and without a hint of irony. That's hard for an old man to understand. At just 20 years old, the whole world is open to you. You could learn to play an instrument, choose any career you want, play baseball or football or swing dancing. You could become nearly anything. It's different at my age. I'm thankful for the life, my family, and good things that I got to do. But there are a lot of things I know I will never do. You're at the beginning. There are things you won't ever do, too, but that list for you is much shorter. From my point of view, Tony continued, the world of possibilities is divided into two categories, what I can't do and what I don't want to do. And there's quite a bit of overlap. I don't want a job. I don't want a hobby. I don't want more stress or to be anywhere else. And I certainly don't want to get married. I don't want anything but for the pain to stop, and it seems like that's never going to happen. There's nothing but hurting until I die. Grandpa grunted. I guess I can't understand how one life could hurt so much. I really am sorry. It shouldn't have to be that way. If you don't mind me asking, how much does it hurt now? It doesn't hurt as much when I'm here. Well, that's good to hear. How come, do you think? I don't know. Maybe because you aren't trying to hurt me. Not that everyone else is, but they just seem to do it. My mom hates my dad, and she hates him more every day. Even 4 years after the divorce, she just hates him more and more, even though she is the one who cheated on him. And Dad's so messed up over it that he doesn't know what to do. For as long as I can remember, you could hardly even count on him to be sober, which sucks. I wonder if he is trying to make the hurting stop too, Grandpa said slowly and sadly. Probably, but it obviously isn't working. It just makes it worse. You know, Carly and Kenzie won't even talk to him anymore. Because your mom's talking? And because they remember all the years of yelling and fighting. Dad was the one who yelled at them over how they dressed, over the boys they brought home, the sneaking out. They always hated him for that. Tony shook his head. Grandpa shook his head as well. And all he wanted was to keep them from getting hurt. Tony huffed out a bitter laugh. And all they were trying to do is have fun and make the hurt go away. It's just such a mess. Yes, said Grandpa. Such a mess indeed. We can't even love each other without hurting each other. A pause. But why does it hurt less when you're here? Maybe because you need me. Or maybe just because you really want me here. Maybe because you listen. I don't know. Maybe just because there's something to do. I worked hard my whole life to put this shop together, Grandpa said. It probably costs more than $300,000, from the machines to the ventilation system to running enough power down here to run everything. It took almost my whole life. You know why I did it? Because fixing stuff fixes stuff. You don't say, Toby responded wryly. I do say, Grandpa replied, glad that Tony got the joke. It never saved me as much money as it cost, and I never sold anything I made or charged for the things I fixed. Fixing stuff just fixes stuff. Maybe I couldn't tell your aunt how much I was going to miss her when she left for college, but I built her a hope chest to show her. Maybe I can't tell my mom how much I miss her, but I can fix up her old table. Making things, fixing things is one way that the hurt goes away from me. The Bible says we should not just love with words, but with our actions, the stuff we do. Maybe that's why I come over, Grandpa. Maybe that's why it hurts less when I'm here. because fixing stuff fixes stuff. Even stuff that can't be fixed, Grandpa replied. Like ways your folks let you down and hurt you. It can't ever get undone, but maybe by fixing things you can understand how they got broken and how to patch them up. Forgiveness is a strong form of repair for everyone involved in the hurt. Yeah, maybe. 5 minutes of scratching and sanding sound followed, uninterrupted. Finally, Tony broke the silence. So, am I helping you, Grandpa? More than you're going to know for a long time, boy. You're helping me a great deal. But you're really just trying to help me. Tony stopped sanding. In 8 months of sanding the table, he only now noticed the tools all around him that could have sanded that old table in a few hours. Grandpa couldn't talk for a while. His eyes were cloudy, and he finally blew his nose in a rag covered in sanding dust. Maybe you're helping me a lot by letting me help you a little. Tony took a while to work that one out. He slowly said each word. Because sometimes fixing stuff fixes stuff. Another long pause. I love you, Grandpa. I love you too, Tony. They held on to each other for a while and cried. Grandpa finally said, I'm thirsty for some lemonade. Should we go get some? Won't Grandma think it's funny, us coming up all weepy? Tony sniffed. Nah. She knows how the sawdust makes our eyes water. She won't think anything of it.